are not scary! Hello my beautiful watchers. If right now you are thinking, why the fuck is he doing the TV miniseries instead of the Kubrick masterpiece, I have a rather nice, if a little dated video to recommend to you. Just in case you're having a busy day, I have prepared a Cliff Notes version of this review. Hi Stephen, I'm your new producer. So, have you thought about what you really want us to concentrate on while we're adapting this? Just make it loyal to my book. Gotcha. And do you have any actors in mind yet? Oh, I don't care, as long as it's loyal to my book. So, you don't care if they can't act to save their lives? Nope, as long as it's loyal to my book. Okay, and the direction. Do you want it to be genuinely atmospheric and slowly build up to an unseen menace, or should we go in a more in-your-face, scary monsters jumping out at you direction? Neither, both. I don't really care as long as it's loyal to my book. Okay. And the CGI. Now, are we going to throw the budget into this and get the best of the best, or just pay the minimum and let it get dated as fuck within a few years? I don't care, as long as it's loyal to my book. Yes, just like your books, I'm noticing a recurring theme emerging. Right, let's make this quick fire, okay? Do you give any kind of a fuck about the following? The makeup? No. The sets? No. The pacing? No. The editing? No. The sound effects? No. The pyrotechnics? No. Okay, fine. Have you at least decided which bits you're okay with us leaving out? None of it. You do realise that will mean each episode is going to be at least an hour and a half, right? That's fine, as long as it's loyal to my book. Oh, it will be that, Stephen. It may just be that, but it will be that. So yeah, this is pretty fucking accurate to the book. Unlike Dune, this miniseries seriously earned sticking the author's name on it, and not just because he wrote the screenplay. I was almost tempted to skip this on the grounds that a huge part of my justification for giving something a bad review involves bitching that they changed it so it sucks, whereas this bad boy is the go-to example of them not changing it so it sucks. That's not to say that fanatical loyalty to a fundamentally hard-to-adapt book is entirely to blame for its sucking, though. I mean, this is a show where a line-shaped hedge is both an embarrassment to special effects and the best actor in the series. I don't know if you can tell because I'm clearly being crazy subtle about it, but I didn't really care for this miniseries, I'm afraid. I have a sneaky suspicion that I already know what's going to happen in this review. Because I already did the LIA for the Kubrick movie, there's not a lot of point in me talking about all the stuff they didn't change, so I'm just going to be focusing on the minority stuff that they did, so it's going to seem like it was super different after all. So just do me a favour and remember, beautiful watchers, that this is super loyal to King's book. Everything I'm about to talk about is pretty much just verbose nitpicking. Also, the one downside to being a part of Channel Awesome is occasionally, after writing a script, you have to go and watch the video that the Nostalgia Critic did first, and then cross out a bunch of jokes so it doesn't look like you're copying him. Ah well, trust me, there's plenty of other stuff for me to be snide about, so don't worry. The manner in which they introduce flashbacks in this is very reminiscent of a book as opposed to a TV show, i.e. the relevant person will slip into one right in the middle of a conversation, then continue on afterwards like nothing happened. With a book, that's fine, because you don't get the same sort of time progression as you do when you're watching something. I mean, you could have half a chapter given over to a memory that's very detailed and informative, but went on in just 1 second in their real time. That's why most adaptations will move flashbacks around and show them at moments in the story when there's less going on, like a character is trying to sleep or staring out of a window or something. Them not doing that here gave the series some real pacing issues, I thought. Okay, can we all just stop and take a second to think about how insanely illegal it would be for a hotel to have a boiler that you have to manually vent every day to stop the entire hotel exploding? I mean, that's the kind of thing that gets everyone involved sent to prison for criminal endangerment. I don't care how long ago this was said, every decade since the 20th century has had at least some standards for health and safety, and I assure you this takes the piss in every one of them. I mean, can you imagine the kind of reviews that this place would get online? The staff were friendly and the location was really nice, but I was just a little bit concerned that if one overweight cowboy didn't do his job exactly right every day, myself and everyone in my family would instantly die in a fiery inferno. 3 stars. Maybe 3.5. Ah, I see gross bathtub lady actually got her backstory this time, and Jack doesn't make out with her. Also, that scene contained one of my favourite line deliveries of this entire miniseries.
Oh no, I don't see that.
Mark my words, I am definitely going to find a way to work that into a future episode. It appears they just decided to include the nicer parts of Watson, the summertime caretaker, rather than include his racist ramblings in between every conversation. I mean, I can't say I missed them, it was just a thing. I'm willing to bet that the reason they invented the plus-size croquet game in the series was A, they didn't want to have to explain what the fuck roque was, and B, roque mallets are even smaller than croquet, so Jack would have looked even sillier wielding one. Although, as I believe I mentioned in the Lost in Adaptation review, there was in fact a fire axe available at the Overlook Hotel, so what the fuck Jack thought he was doing with that little wooden hammer, I have no idea. Hey, the dad from Friends, act better. I know you can, you're not even trying, you're just saying all your lines like you're a Google voice generator. Although, and I know this sentence sounds a little weird out of context, I am very happy that he was a massive arsehole. It really did bother me that they made such an absolute dickhead into a nice guy in the Kubrick film. Also, I can't remember, did we agree that we were going to call that the Anne Hathaway effect, or did that just not catch on? There's stuff in this that I am convinced is trying so hard to make up for the Kubrick inaccuracies, it overcompensates and becomes inaccurate itself because it goes too far the other way. If that makes any sense at all. It probably doesn't, but I'll give you some examples. Kubrick didn't include the scene where his parents finally acknowledged Danny's powers? Well, we're gonna have them aware of them right from the start. And the boiler explosion got omitted? Well, we're gonna foreshadow it at least 3 or 4 times every episode. Jack Nicholson seems too creepy right from the start and never fights the impulse to kill his son? Well, we're going to write in a new ending where Jack comes to his senses, fights off the ghosts, and sacrifices himself to save his family, completely redeeming himself. You see, it's like the opposite of what Kubrick did, but it's still not what happened in the book. Ye gods, the acting in this is just so bad, like from everyone. The person playing Wendy is probably the worst, but yeah, there's no breakout stars in this, no sir. There was also zero chemistry between any of the cast. I mean, zero romantic chemistry and zero father-son chemistry. I mean, I know this is supposed to be a struggling family, but all of their interactions just felt so sterile, you know? Okay, the CGI fire hose with teeth. You know what? No, it's not worth talking about. There's quite a lot of recurring words and phrases from the book that work their way into this. Things like, unmask, unmask, and damn little pup, take your medicine. Now, I can't speak from experience because I've never been grabbed from behind by a decaying naked zombie lady, but I am 100% certain that the correct sound to make is more akin to as opposed to because wow is the noise you make when you almost trip over but don't quite, not the noise you make when you're being grabbed from behind by a decaying naked zombie lady. The full effect of Jack's abusive father's voice coming in over the radio is lessened somewhat by only the brief mention that he got in this series, making Jack seem a tad overdramatic in his reaction. That Jack used to rub his mouth all the time when he was drunk, and then started doing that again when he was being influenced by the hotel is kind of a big thing in the book, and I think they really wanted to keep that in, but honestly, I don't remember seeing him do it once until Wendy pointed out that he was doing it. Now, it's entirely possible that I just missed it because they were being too subtle for me, but it's also possible that they forgot to include it and that line doesn't make any sense. Now, obviously the fucking absurdity of trying to make topiary intimidating is the real issue here, but in regards to this scene, I feel I also have to ask, what the fuck was Jack expecting to achieve with a fragile-looking straw broom against what looks like at least 3 feet of snow? I also assumed at first when I was watching this that Danny must have been playing inside the miniature hotel when Jack stuck his head in through the window pretending to be a giant, but, nope. Apparently, a fully grown man decided to play make-believe for a few minutes before presumably attempting to sweep away 47 tons of snow with an antique broom. I guess saying that King didn't let them cut anything out is a bit unfair. I mean, they didn't go into Jack and Al's history with the sobriety-inducing mysterious bicycle that they ran over, or anything like that. I mean, I guess I'm glad because some stuff had to go, but it kind of made Al an entirely pointless character if you think about it. He's just there for one single phone call, he says a bunch of AA-related stuff, and then he's gone forever. I mean, why bother having him in it at all if he's not going to contribute anything to the plot? You know when you notice something that's so silly and so tiny and so unimportant, you know it doesn't matter, but you just can't let go of it? Possibly just me, I guess, but anyway, it really bothered me that they used a different car for Jack's flashback about the kid bursting his tyres. That kinda means that at some point between then and now, he sold that car and bought an ancient Volkswagen Beetle with a faulty fuel pump that can't go over 30 miles an hour uphill. I get that he lost his job, so probably needed some cash, but everyone knows that old cars end up costing you more in the long run, so it just doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so, Mr. King. I know the main reason for this show's existence is because you weren't happy with Kubrick, but come on. Look me in the eye and be completely honest with me. You copied his homework just a little bit, didn't you? I'm not mad, I just want you to own up. Or perhaps you expect us to believe that, entirely on your own, you just happened to decide that a long, lingering aerial shot of them driving to the hotel through the mountains while music plays was strictly necessary, or that after bashing a hole through the door, Jack should stick his head through and make a quip. Just pure coincidence, I have to confess, because it's been a while since I've read this book, I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that while Tony was a person, not a finger, he couldn't fly. I really did like, though, that they stuck to Tony being an older version of Danny, and that they revealed it by skipping further ahead in time at the end than the book did, rather than trying to explain it verbally, as that would have been super clunky. That was probably the best way to handle that particular reveal. I mean, I still don't have a fucking clue why Tony looked like an older Danny, but at least they adapted it well. On a completely irrelevant note, this is what the kid playing miniseries Danny actually ended up looking like when he grew up. Yeah. I also really don't remember Danny being able to smash shit with his mind. I really think his shining ability was just confined to sort of reading people's thoughts and seeing the future in the book. I mean, if he was freaking Carrie, then this would have been a very different movie. I mean, when his dad cornered him at the end, he could have just been like, "I'm sorry, Daddy," and then boom, Jack's head explodes. Jack made an awful lot of really awkward innuendos in front of his kid and an old man he'd only just met in this. It was kind of cringeworthy. That dude needs to find some friends his own age to joke around with. The resurrecting wasp nest finally got its time in the spotlight, though all the other wasp-themed stuff, like the metaphors that Jack kept coming back to in his head, couldn't be adapted. It's pretty much left at face value only. The wasps came back to life, and that's weird and unfortunate. The mobster backstory was included this time, which is nice, although I feel it could have been cooler. It's a violent gangster assassination, but it just came off as kind of lame in the end. You probably should have watched The Godfather a few more times, King. I'm just going to give you a quick dramatic recreation of me watching this. Why did the zombie conductor just turn away from his band, and why is the camera lingering on him for so long? Wait. Oh, hi, Steven. Ah yes, a submissive dog guy. In it more than the Kubrick movie, but still not fully explained. You know, I actually got quite a few comments complaining that I didn't go into his backstory in more detail in my original Lost in Adaptation review. Well, moving on. Constantly cutting to Jack in an empty ballroom to show that at least on some level, everything that he's seeing is going on just inside of his head is a bit of an odd move, I thought. I mean, King wrote this whole thing, so I know it's not a misunderstanding of the book, but I always thought that he intentionally left it subtly vague in regards to exactly which point the hotel switched from hallucinations to physical reality for Jack, so I don't know, I feel like that weakens that somehow. Okay, here's something that really bothered the shit out of me in both incarnations of this adaptation. The Overlook is a fucking fancy hotel, right? You know, it's up in the mountains, it's got a stunning ballroom, it's been visited by multiple presidents, so why the fuck is Jack always given Jack Daniels when he asks the ghost bartender for whiskey? Leaving aside that I would personally take scotch over bourbon any day, that's a fucking cheap-ass whiskey! Get your shit together, Ghost Hotel, and serve some decent fucking liquor. For relaxing time, make it Santori time. Was Jack supposed to be talking like the ghost of the hotel's old owner when he was being all monsterfied, or was that the actor just making more strange choices performance-wise? I'm really not sure. Actually, on this subject, Nicholson may have played a much better crazy person, but holy damn, that shit is actually genuinely scary! I mean, it's pretty much the only effective makeup in this whole thing, but credit where credit's due. So, Jack's final redemption. Like I said before, it's not in the book, because there the hotel makes him bash his own face in with the mallet as soon as he gets uppity so it can use his corpse as a puppet, but, I mean, I guess it's an okay ending regardless. It's certainly a less depressing ending, as it at least means that Jack gets to take part in the happy ending in at least a small ghosty way, instead of just being gone forever like in the book, or whatever that photo ending meant in the film. You can see Danny grabbing his father's play on the way out of the hotel as it's all catching fire, which, I mean, that's nice, but they don't really go anywhere with this afterwards, that's the problem. I assumed they were building up to some scene showing him finishing it or publishing it for him or something, but As you may remember, when I covered the Kubrick movie, I felt that Halloran was very hard done by when he literally got axed off at the end, so I'm very glad he survived in this one like he was supposed to. Although I did think it was kind of bizarre that after he flew most of the way across America and drove in suicidally dangerous conditions to save Danny, he still acted surprised when he got there and shit was all fucked up, and then he just lets Jack walk right up to him and beat the shit out of him. I mean, to put it in context, he brought a fucking rifle with him in the book. I mean, Jack only got the better of him because he called caught him by surprise from behind, which makes a hell of a lot more sense. Ooh, I really didn't like the last second plot twist that they rebuilt the Overlook. No sir. I mean, I haven't read all of King's books, so I could be talking out of my arse here, but I've never come across a novel of his that ended with a big old... Or is it? Dun dun dun! I don't know, I just thought it was one of the very few horror cliches that King didn't buy into. Now, the book had a big payoff after all that build-up to the lion hedges becoming real at the end. One of them tears the shit out of Halloran on the road to try and stop him from getting to the hotel and helping Danny, so he has to douse it in gasoline and set it on fire. Unfortunately, this was substituted in the miniseries for them just approaching them slowly as they were trying to leave, which, I mean, they already showed that sort of thing multiple times earlier in the series, so it's really nothing new. Then they just spontaneously combust, so they figuratively did absolutely nothing in the entire show. It was a big build-up to fuck all. In the end, all the audience is left with is a lingering feeling of boredom and the overwhelming certainty that hedges are not scary! Goodbye, my beautiful watchers. Hey beautiful watchers, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder that there's a variety of rewards you can earn by becoming a Patreon, including early access to all videos, getting to be a part of the survey about how many people saw the film and read the book, or playing Minecraft with me on my 24-hour server. Higher level contributors can also join the Dom's Skype chat room and best of all choose future episodes of Lost in Adaptation. However, if right now you are thinking, my goodness the Dom, I can't do that, I squandered my money paying for bizarre alien lap dancers in an Alpha Centauri strip club. Fear not, if you would instead be willing to like, share, subscribe, or a combination of all three, that goes a long way towards helping my channel grow and reach new beautiful watchers. Have a most pleasant day, and I will see you soon.